Hi there, and welcome back to the channel. So, I am recording, or I'm working on Hell Yes, the song that I wrote, and I've got the guide track down, and I wanted to give a couple notes about what went down with that, because it was kind of tricky. So, the Zoom only offers 4/4 as far as the metronome goes. So what I usually try to do with these songs, the one-man band thing, is I record like a guide track to a metronome. So I would play the whole song the way I would have the final arrangement, like down to the stick clicks at the beginning, just so that the timing of my drumming is easy, and it just lines up with what I have recorded. But the metronome, I think this song is in 6/8 time, because it's like 1 2 3 4 5 6 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8. So I think that it's 6/8. Could be wrong, but it feels like everything's in threes. And if I count the riff, it seems like it goes to 6, but I may be miscalculating. I'm not the best with this kind of thing, but I think it's 6/8 time. And so when I would try to play the song with the riff to the 4/4 metronome beat, it'd be like 1 2 3 clink, 1 2 3 clink. Makes that little bell noise. Well, that was like making it impossible to lock into it. And then I realized, okay, because this is 4/4, I'm 6/8. It's just sounding distracting. So what I did was, this may not work for everyone. I'm playing acoustic, or I was playing an electric guitar like an acoustic. It wasn't plugged into an amp. I was just directly in. And what I determined was that if you just looked at the light, so like as you're playing or recording, whatever you have the metronome set for, and mine in this particular case was 98.1. Well, anyway, you want to look at the light as it's flashing and just sync up that way as opposed to listening. So I had a pretty basic understanding of what the time was, because it was kind of a natural. I didn't like get my riff to fit a time. I went with trying to find what was the perfect time for what the feel of the song already was, or the riff, the pace of the riff. So I wasn't trying to manipulate anything or change anything. I was just trying to figure out what it was so I could set a metronome and keep up, because I find that like I may be playing a riff pretty consistently with tempo, but then you switch to like a chorus part, which is like chording or whatever it is, and it's a different rhythm or whatever, and suddenly you start rushing or going slow, but usually it's rushing. And the same thing on this little bridge thing I've written in this, another moment where the tempo could go awry. So what I did, and I think this really worked well, I may even start doing it all the time, because sometimes the click track is annoying to listen to. And you have to be pretty solid on the song, and feel like you're playing it well anyway, and like your tempo's locked down anyway. But I just found that looking up every once in a while, especially some of the song, I could really just look at it. Some of it I had to kind of look at the guitar neck, to make sure I was going to land in the right spot. But on those, I still just every once in a while would glimpse up and make sure that I was in line with the flashing light as far as tempo goes. And I think I did okay. So after all that was done, I felt I was missing something by not having the click, and the click does not sound good played against it. It feels like the timing is good, and I did okay with that, but it has this annoying 4/4 quality going off while the 6/8 is going, and it doesn't fit it. It's not in the right time signature, so it doesn't click with it, so to speak. So what I did is, after I got it done and I was satisfied that I'd followed the light fairly well, come down on the beach pretty well, and it's not a perfect take, it's just that it's on beat and I know what's supposed to be there, so I can play along to the drums and not get lost or have any issues. That's the whole point. The guitar doesn't matter, I'm not going to use it, but I have to deliver as far as the timing of it goes. I might muff something, or something doesn't sound as good as it would, and I would retake it ordinarily. Here it doesn't matter, because I'm just trying to get the timing right. It's the main thing. And then once I laid the drums down, then the whole click thing is irrelevant, because I'm going to be playing to the drums. A natural, kind of like the way the rest of the musicians in the room be playing along to a drummer if we were recording this live, with the whole band. So that's what I went through. And then at the end of it, I felt like I was missing having a quick presence, you know, especially for the drums, because this song is kind of weird. They're like stops and starts. It's in 6/8. It's like riff heavy as opposed to like anything driving it the whole time. It's kind of the guitar comes in and out, you know, here and there. So I went back in and recorded my own stick clicks that are in pace with the song, and it made me feel pretty good because I was following the light with these as well, making sure it was lighting up. And I did it in like a 3, you know, kind of 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, or 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, all through the song. And I think that's going to help. So I'll just play that back. And the effect I used was in the clean, and it was the, let me just check what it says. It says clean, the number 2, FD clean. I forgot what that, I at one point figured out what that amp was supposed to be copying. Oh, it's like a, maybe it's like a clean Fender, like a Crank Deluxe. I don't know, because they have a deluxe setting too. I forgot what that, fat clean? Oh, it says fat clean. Maybe that's what it's saying. Well, anyway, it's the second patch in the clean algorithm. So let's get ourselves out of that. I'm going to go to mastering, just so that this sounds as good as it possibly can sound. And then I'll put it on, I'll move it all the way to where it says master. Then I'm going to go down and edit so we don't get hammered with too much lows. I'm going to pull the lows back to 5. I'll just put everything like on 5. Highs, mids, 5. Put the mid on 7 incorrectly. And everything else doesn't really matter. Then I just take the gain to 0. That's all fine. Take the noise reduction off. I don't like any noise reduction. But this isn't about sound. I'm going to turn it down too, because when you hit the mastering mode it gets way louder. So you always want to pull it down before you feel how loud it is. Okay, so you'll hear, and the other thing I had to do was copy a guide track where I'm talking. So I go 1, 2, 3, and then you hear the little riff, opening riff note, and then you'll hear another 1, 2, 3, because I want to make sure that there's a click in on the drums about when that riff is going to start. So it's, you'll hear, but you have to give yourself plenty of signposts and guides or you can get lost, you know, trying to lay the drums down. Anyway, this is my crazy method. Who knows if it's that effective for anyone else. Okay, wait, so here you'll hear the 1, 2, 3 right away.
1, 2, 3.
There's that opening riff.
2, 3.
And so then there was the other 1, 2, 3, and that's going to be bap. After the second 1, 2, 3, the drums are bap, boom, bap, boom, bap, bap, boom, bap, boom, bap. Okay, so listen, here it is.
1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3.
And that's how it ends. Ends like on the blah da da da. Alright, so the drums. That's what I'll be doing for the next couple of days. Get the drums to sync up with that, you know, to figure out the best part, the best way to approach it. Like busy drums, probably not, but I am going to have this recurring riff, I think, because sitting at home with it, it just seemed like it needed it. So like it starts off, it's like you hear that blah well, and then 1, 2, 3. Something like that. But it's like the opening da 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 da. It's like blah 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 da blah 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 da. That kind of thing. So now I'm gonna take this back here behind the kit, put the headphones on. Luckily I have that 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, that stick click going along the whole time to keep. I think that's gonna help keep me filled in because there's a lot of, like I said, stops and starts, gaps and dips and moments of weirdness with that riff. It's a completely different way of playing guitar than I'm used to. The whole construction of the song, this whole second record has been a major, you know, departure from what I'm used to doing. Just usually just filling up the space with like chords and propelled energy that starts at A and ends at, you know, B or whatever the destination is. This is like, you know, starts here, does this little funky thing, stops, does this, does that, you know, it's all very different from what I'm used to writing, but it's fun, it's entertaining, it's keeping me interested, you know, because you got to really, your music has to keep getting more interesting if you want people to have any interest in it, you know, besides yourself. If you're doing it for yourself, that doesn't matter, but if you have any interest of people listening or engaging, I think there's a certain amount of complexity that the listener is used to hearing, and if it's not there, it just gets boring quickly. So I try to, you know, give the listener, I want to make the experience interesting for the listener in the same way that I want it to be interesting for me. Next time, I'm going to work on these drums, and the next video will be hopefully just laying that sucker down. I hope it's not as hard as I'm worrying it's going to be. Next time.